Hold on to your butts.
Welcome to Guitar.
Get a real guitar.
I have a real guitar. Thank you.
Where is it, Manny? Jesus. Sorry about that.
But it's going on now.
Yep.
What's
Welcome back.
happening, people?
We have a
Episode
very
115.
exciting one for you.
Episode 115.
115.
115.
115. But we are talking about yet another movie episode. This one's yet again a milestone movie in technology and in the way that it changed the movie industry forever. We are talking about Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, people.
Jurassic Park.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yep.
There
that
it
movie.
is.
There it is. This has been on the list for a while, and we are both very excited, actually.
This was, I guess, when we were younger. I was born in 92. This movie came out in 1993, so this was already out. And
when we were all both
when we were all little babies. So
babies.
this was very early on, one of the first movies I think we watched together, and we couldn't get enough of watching this movie.
I
And
remember that.
it was just a lot of rewinding on that part where that guy's taking a crap and he gets eaten. And we would just laugh our asses off to that and just hit rewind. I remember going into Sergio's room at one point,
that at all.
and he had the soundtrack
That was
for
3.
The Lost World.
No, that was part 3.
The third one.
He got it wrong. His memory is so fuzzy. None of that makes sense.
Yeah, but you still had the soundtrack, which is like,
Yeah,
you know, the
that was
music in
3.
it is like doo 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 doo. I could just imagine young Sergio in his room,
Yeah,
feeling all
just like,
inspired, listening to the soundtrack.
That was for part 3. I wish I could have got it for part 1. Part 1 has a better soundtrack.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think.
But we're not here to just talk about the soundtrack, people. We're here
Talk about
to
everything.
talk about some technical aspects, some real life transitions of not just power, but the way production is done today, the way movies are made today. This was a very historic movie that changed and paved the way for basically what we now see as CGI movies, full length, like Avatar and stuff. Like, this was the very first on-screen presence of applicable CGI graphics that the eye could believe, you know? And it changed the industry forever. So we're going to get more in depth with that. And of course, it's Golden Craft Cast. So we're talking about craft beer and entertainment. Today we got some really lovely craft beers.
Very entertaining beers.
Dope graphics on the front of it. This first one Sergio got. Where'd you get this one from, Serge?
I got this from Ramirez. I was
Okay.
actually hunting this down. I went to like 2 liquor stores, and luckily Ramirez had it. That was the second one.
This is Toppling Goliath Brewing Company.
They had these things everywhere at one point, and then now they just like kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, great timing.
This is the King Su Double India Pale Ale. It says here on the side, this lusciously hazy double IPA gains its bold flavors of mango, orange, and pineapple from the use of delicious citra hop. All hail the king. Live beer. Please refrigerate. Of course, we did that. Made in, what is that, Indiana?
Looks like Indiana.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's give him a crack.
No, it's Iowa. Sorry.
Iowa? All right.
Mhm.
Well,
I
from
think.
Iowa, people.
I'm gonna go
Toppling
check.
Goliath Co. Hey, Google. Where's Toppling Goliath Co. from?
Just check right now.
Out of Anaheim, California.
Hmm.
That's weird.
That's weird.
Maybe they have a brewery here.
See, it's just down there. The history of
Oh, it does. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is Iowa.
There it
Yep,
goes. So
Iowa.
it started in Iowa, people.
There's-
I love the
Now I have
graphics
it.
on here. Fucking dope T-Rex looking guy right there.
It's not a
With
guy. It
some,
might be a girl.
I guess you're
No,
right.
just kidding. It says
Could
king.
be.
It literally says king.
King Sue,
King
but it's
Sue.
Sue. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, Sue. I know it's kind of a girl. There's a song called "A Boy Named Sue." So it's the whole point is
Johnny
like,
Cash.
yeah, the whole point is like, oh, he has a feminine name.
All right, let's go ahead and give these a pour. Let's see what we got. Ooh,
Ooh, very
milky, hazy.
very carbonated.
This one's really, you could tell it's got some juice in there, some pineapple or I don't know what. But
It looks thick.
wow, yeah, it's a thick.
It looks
for sure.
like
It looks like egg yolk.
it looks like nectar.
Oh, like mango nectar.
Yeah,
One more look at the can here.
like the cans, the shit that they have in the cans.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we have it on display.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Uh-huh.
lusciously hazy, indeed. Cheers to the craft.
Cheers.
Cheers to Spielberg and all those ILM people and
And Phil Tippett and the whole freaking cast.
if you think about it, they were some of the first ones that were acting with like characters that weren't there.
Yeah, they were one of them.
One of the pioneers of acting like that. They made it
Yeah.
believable.
And
you
it's
know?
sad. Well, I mean, there was Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We did talk about that last time. Whoa, man. Jeez.
I definitely feel a lot of the fruit flavors, a lot of those note flavors there. Super bitter at the end.
It's carbonated. It has a bitterness. It's like it goes down like a beer, but damn, it is juicy.
Mm-hmm.
It is juicy. I get pineapple and orange at the top, mango at the end in the middle, and then just ends off with a bitter hazy IPA citra hop, right? You get those citra hops right at the end, fucking hit you like a bus. Jesus, or a Jeep in this case, right? Sorry.
Hit you like a Jeep.
All right, so I guess we're going to go ahead and hop into the origins of this movie.
Yes. So it began with a man named Michael Crichton.
I thought you were going to say Michael Jackson for some reason.
Michael Jackson. I know. It just pops up like that.
Okay, so Michael who?
It's the first Michael. Michael Crichton, who's an author of a lot of different books, including Congo, Germada Strain. I think it was a Germada Strain. Of course, the Jurassic Park novels. There was 2 of them, and the first one actually came out in the late 80s. So he had talked about to Spielberg before, like, he even made the book, and he explained to him like, "Oh, I'm thinking of writing a book about dinosaurs, and I want them to like come back." And Spielberg was like, interested, and he said like, "Huh." So that interest sparked him into saying like, "Oh, okay, well, I kind of want to have the rights to this book to make it into a movie." So this is a few occasions where he actually got the rights
Before the movie,
before the book
before the
even
book
got
was even
published.
made.
So they made a deal through that shit.
Let me tell you, and that's a lot of part of like artists just trusting like you're gonna come out with fucking something good, you know?
Yeah.
And no matter what, and I think that's one of the biggest things I'm getting from watching a lot of the behind the scenes stuff of Spielberg. It's like he had faith in his people and like he would show it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the important thing, is to have the faith of who you hired, because
Yeah.
you know, it's very much like casting. There's a reason why you cast, and there's a reason why you hire people for the specific job. So it's just like, okay, I got the best guy in the audio, so I'm gonna trust him to pull through. And even if it's like a very challenging thing for this movie that's gonna demand for it, like they're gonna go for it, because what any good artist is, they basically challenge. They go after that challenge, and you know, they pull it off. And this movie is no exception to that, because people were struggling to even make this movie in the first place.
Yeah, it almost seemed like a pipe dream. Like, how the fuck are we
Yeah.
gonna do this? I mean, there was a bunch of different people. It seemed like pitching their how they would do it, and a lot of it was going towards the stop motion animation way. A lot of this movie was gonna get made stop motion animation.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah.
And they had already done a lot of the work of, the scenes of where the dinosaurs were in there, and they were showing already just these shots of the dinosaurs and these puppets being animated and them leaping onto stuff, and how they would just be, and like, just be dinosaurs, and how they would act. A lot of it was already done by Phil Spector and his group, right?
Not Phil Spector, Phil Tippett.
Tippett.
Phil Spector's the music guy.
What are you gonna do? What does he
yourself.
sing?
Huh?
Who's Phil Spector then?
Phil Spector's a music guy.
What does he sing?
He doesn't sing. He was a producer.
Huh.
Yeah, they got accused of different things. I'm not gonna say, but we're talking about Phil Tippett, and he's actually
Tippett.
Tippett.
Ribbit.
Who was actually already doing like puppet work, throughout the 70s and the 80s, and he done a lot of the puppet stop motion for. Sorry, I meant to say stop motion. Stop motion for Star Wars.
Yeah.
He was responsible for like the Tauntauns and
The Ice
the
Planet.
AT-ATs, yeah, and all that. And they were gonna like the documentary we were actually watching. A lot of people were saying that this is gonna be like his ultimate, like his opus. This is gonna be like his finest work yet, but. Since they decided to make this CGI, he was just like, he was still on board, but he was just like, the title's funny. It's called Dinosaur Supervisor, which is basically, he was basically the guy that was like, guiding the animators to, reference like how these dinosaurs were to move. And, basically he was just there to supervise everyone to basically get it right, if anything. But it's funny because there's a meme out there that says, they have like that still of the frame at the end credits where it says dinosaur supervisor Phil Tippett, and it says, "God damn it, Tippett, you had one job." Which we could see with the joke on that, but really he was just referencing like the movement of the dinosaurs or how they would move, because nobody has ever seen them move, but they use a lot of references from like how birds move, or how I think it's just
Like
a lot of
animals in
imagination.
general.
Yeah, because they were saying like, oh well, how would a dinosaur move when he has this big heavy body, and then his head moves like a ton. And I think realistically, I don't think that thing moved that fast, but they wanted it to run, so they had to figure out a way to like make it seem like it's running natural.
Right.
They could have done it jerky and just bury like whatever, but they just wanted to do it right.
It almost runs like an ostrich if you look at it.
Yeah.
Like the raptors and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean the movie they mentioned like dinosaurs are more closer their closest ancestors like to birds.
Well, let me say something. Like, I think that the main thing that we're trying to get across is Tippett was an animator.
Yeah.
He knew how to make how to bring these dinosaurs to life and kind of do it. But the thing was, he never believed that a computer could replicate a living, breathing thing.
Yeah.
Because of the way he said that. I guess the way that computers were, it's so mathematical, it's so perfect that it would never be able to replicate something that was lifelike. And with the T100?
T1000.
With the T1000, they were also the ones that made that and created that model. So they said that was a lot easier because the surface was hard. The surface was metallic. It didn't look living. It didn't look like it was a living, breathing thing. And what they were able to do, and they did this shit very smart, and I guess we could kind of get into the graphic portion on this.
The
and
graphics of
what
it
they
all.
did was they found this 3D scanner, and it was the only one at the time, and they scanned.
It was kind of a 3D scanner, yeah.
They scanned a full body and exoskeleton, or I guess skeleton of a dinosaur, and captured the whole fossil from left to right, from the tail to its toes, and found it like very nicely preserved. So they were able to then create the bones in the 3D map, and from there animate the bones of it. But they wanted to animate a full life dinosaur, so they had to figure out how to put skin on this thing, make it look like it had, body, and it looked real, like a real reptile. So they started figuring out how to do bump maps. So this was kind of the beginning of bump maps. And what is like, if you know animation, or what now of bump maps, is like basically any surface on anything that's made in CGI, whether it be a t-shirt, a snake, a whatever, the surface of a planet, it all has these little fractures and bumps that make it look organic. So what a bump map is basically like a texture layer over the model, so it gives it that lifelike touch. And they colored in, they had a person literally go into this bump map and color in piece by piece, from the toes all the way to the head, what the colors of this T-Rex would be, and did that all the way from the bottom, like painstakingly, So after they did that, they realized like, hey, if we can make this work, we could do this for like a lot of things. But what they ended up doing was, when they actually went and showed this to the producers and Steven Spielberg and everything, they literally jumped up and like leapt up and were like, oh my fucking God, like this is possible.
This could work, yeah.
And I think, play the clip.
Which
and then
one?
we got a clip of Steven Spielberg kind of talking about the moment when he realized this. And then, mind you, Tibbet is the one that has already had a team that has been producing, or not producing, but like creating all of the animations and graphics so far from it.
Yeah.
And this is what Spielberg said.
Kind of religious experience, and probably the greatest epiphany I've ever experienced in my own world of making movies. That was the moment that I suddenly saw that everything was going to change. Not just my movie was going to be a better movie, but the entire world was going to follow in the footsteps of what Dennis Muren and Phil Tippett and ILM were bringing to Jurassic Park. It was going to change everything for all of us and for audiences everywhere. And we were never going to go back.
And that right there, people, is why this movie is important. And 30 years ago, this movie came out and basically showed people that there was a way to, as long as you could imagine it and you had the budget and know-how of how to fucking do this, you could basically make anything possible. And that's why today we have movies like fucking Avatar.
You got movies like Jurassic World. Again, you got CGI.
Ready Player One.
The Godzilla, King Kong, basically all of Marvel, because you could basically make any weird creature and make it living. That's what it is, and that's like the crazy part. It's like, oh, that doesn't exist, but somehow the movie makes it believable that it does exist.
Yeah, I mean, just
terrifying.
like perfect example of creatures that were made to like that didn't exist and looked real. Fucking
like dragons. From
Guardians
Game
of the
Thrones.
Galaxy, the last Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah,
those
all of them,
creepy
actually.
they're creepy ass creatures too. And they sold it. They made them look pretty real, dude. And it was like, you could obviously tell it's CGI, but it's like, it's like this paved the way for it. And it was a way to bring this exciting creature that we've only seen like in stop motion animation really come to life in fluid motion and stuff like that, and chase down a fucking Jeep.
Yeah,
and do shit like that, so that was no small feat. And mind you, these were like the young guys that were kind of under the table doing this to show to Steven Spielberg they knew that they could possibly do this, but the technology was relatively still new, right? And then they also just had this Phil Spector guy.
Phil Tippett.
I know. I just wanted to see what he would say. Yeah, Phil, if they have Tibbet
You're making yourself
on the team already, and like basically making him like the lead dinosaur guy, and he has his whole team
the whole
here.
references, for
And
the movement of the
he's
dinosaurs.
already basically fucking done with this project. It's already kind of in the bag, and he's about to get paid for this. Well, guess what, dude? You're still gonna be
Still
on the
on board.
team as the dinosaur person, and I'm glad they did, because I feel like that gave the animators, the CGI people, a better reference when he was there.
Yeah.
And he was kind of the one saying like, this can work, this won't work, you know. So him being there was definitely like kind of the biggest judge you wanted on board to be like, okay, well, if it looks better than this, then yeah, definitely it's gonna sell, like it's gonna be dope, you know. And I mean, basically all the money shots in Jurassic Park were the beginnings of CGI. And one of them said, what was the dude's name?
Which one?
The animator, the CGI
Dennis.
guy. Yeah.
Dennis something. I forgot his name.
Yeah. That guy basically said like that was a T-1000. The T-Rex was a T-1000 that they repurposed and like re-rigged to make the T-Rex. And they just went in there and added those new bump maps, those new things that we talked about, and made this shit look living. And they still used, I believe, some of the puppets for some of the scenes, right?
Yeah, even for references, and it was like beat by beat of everything that the dinosaurs were doing in like stop motion, and it transitioned over to like CGI, you know. And it's like a really big difference, you know. The shots are similar, but just between, I mean, obviously for stop motion and CGI, it was much more natural on CGI and stuff. But it's really fascinating. You could find this thing online. You could find it like on, what was the documentary, how things work or how stuff's work.
It's called
wait, that's not what it's
Industrial Light. It's called Light and Magic
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's also like
on Disney Plus.
yeah, there's also other like documentaries where you could see like how they made Jurassic Park, like how it got made, and then there was also another one. I think it was like 90s.
Dude,
Remember
there's
that
a
shit from
lot.
the
I
90s?
looked
There's
on
a lot.
YouTube and there's like a lot of stuff, and it's like Steven Spielberg's. But I feel for me, like that was the biggest part I wanted to talk about on the podcast, was just how graphically this movie really did change the film industry. And what we see in movies now is because of, you know, those steps that they took to get us there, you know. And shit, dude, cheers to that.
Dennis
Cheers to the
Muren.
craft.
Dennis Muren, he's the animator.
Dennis Muren. Cheers to that, dude. And that other Asian guy.
Also worked for the Mandalorian. He's still working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's tight.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty good dude.
They seem like in the 90s, they were like the grunge dudes. They were like
Like every time they were just like, let's just play some Nirvana. It's like, oh, they just came up with this album. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah. I
You
can
and
see that
Terrell's
totally
last.
happening.
Yeah.
Working on fucking Jurassic Park.
During the
That's
90s
wild.
and grunge. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that's
That
wild,
must have
right?
been sweet. Yeah.
That's what they were doing. That's what they were about. And they said that, like, back in the day, because I watched other episodes, they had a studio that they would throw parties in, because it was just like literally like it was like a basement kind of studio, and they could just fucking play the music as loud as they wanted, and they would just be working on fucking dinosaurs, like making this shit look dope, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, speaking of like those dinosaurs and references, like there's also footage. It's online too, but we found it on a documentary where there was just a bunch of guys, again for references, walking around like dinosaurs.
Yeah,
And that was
oh
actually
my
like the
God.
funniest thing ever. You can find this online. I
That shit
shit
was
you
ridiculous. They basically, Phil.
Phil was leading that whole babockery right there.
Yeah, he was basically making all the animators pretend they're dinosaurs, until one of the drawing guys, like, they were doing the scene where they went and they were jumping over the log, and I guess one of the animators went and that fool like tripped over the freaking thing and broke his arm, and then
You
after that,
saw him broke his arm.
yeah,
It's funny.
they show the clip
What
of him
sucks, though,
actually.
it's like kind of funny, like the way.
But they were
presented
filming
it.
themselves for reference, because they were like, this is probably what the dinosaurs would look like all together, you know?
Yeah.
So it's crazy what they did to go to these lengths to fucking get, you know, the final result of this. And you can see them all there, like they're all fucking pretending to be dinosaurs, and it's like just imagine like a group full of, you know, grown adults, like animators, just like nerds, just like pretending to be dinosaurs.
They look like a bunch of little kids just pretending to be dinosaurs.
it's fucking awesome.
Funny.
And
They try to be kids to make things for kids.
after that day that the animator broke the arm, they were just like, all right, no more pretending to be dinosaurs.
We established is we can't be dinosaurs.
We'll leave it to the professionals. So then they would basically they were using the models and puppets to stand in for some of the scenes.
Yeah. I wish they did.
But they did actually use some puppets, right? Like some,
yeah, they did.
like the scene where the Triceratops is on its side and stuff like that.
The whole when they're on top of the tree and the Triceratops are like, you know, their heads are like popping off like that. That's all like that's puppet work right there.
That's dope.
Yeah. So at least they used some footage.
Yeah.
And it looks good, actually. It looks really good.
And that's what I'm saying. And this is what they did successfully is when you see those scenes of the puppetry and the scenes of the CGI, you can tell it's the same world still.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the hardest part, I think, to get right.
Yeah.
Was to make it all look like it belongs in the same universe.
Yeah. It's crazy to think, like, we talked about this in the Two Towers where, you know, when they're transitioning over like a new technology, they're also utilizing like other techniques from like the past or, you know, occurring, and it's like all blended in well. And this is this movie's no exception.
Yeah,
because you're also you're bringing CGI, but you're also still bringing like, you know, stop motion and all that. But
and it's always
that case.
They actually did use they did use an actual dinosaur, I think, like puppet for like the T-Rex.
Yeah,
they used
animatronics.
Yeah, they used an animatronic in it, and that they actually made that using methods from like ancient times, bro. Mm-hmm. That's what I learned about earlier on YouTube. I was watching that, like how they made the T-Rex, and basically the process was, they would make a steel kind of structure, as a foundation, like the base, and then after that they like they would look at the model forward and then cut out the shapes of it's kind of hard to explain on a podcast, but basically like they would cut slices would cut slices of the T-Rex from a vertical view or from a top view, and then cut those out in pieces of wood. So they were able to make like kind of like a wooden structure for it, and then after that they used chicken wire to kind of like make the whole thing together, and then after that they used like some fiberglass sheets to like go over it and like paint it down. And they did this to the whole freaking model all the way to the tail. And then after that, they threw like clay. And it's pretty funny because in the video, you just see this guy like fucking chucking clay at this fucking dinosaur model, like all pissed off. Like you see all the rest of the people are just like getting the clay and just kind of like slowly melting it. And this guy's just fucking like...
Okay, Steve's going to do that because his wife just like cheated on him. So, you know, you just put it on him. So, you know, this is something that was created by the love of crafting and also the hate, you know, that went into it apparently.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the way that it just is. It's just like filmmaking. A lot of filmmaking is just making shit up that not a lot of jobs like really do. It's just like you just gotta make shit up.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
I mean, the thing is like it's not just like one person was like, this is my idea of it, we're going through with all the way. It's like he got a bunch of people together and was like, okay, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this, you're in charge. I think there was one person that was specifically in charge of making creatures. And then Phil was in charge of, you know, the dinosaurs movement and everything like
references and all that, yeah.
And then on board, now the two younger guys are chosen as the main animators to make all the dinosaurs and shit like that. And I guess one of the biggest, the hardest scenes for them to do was the scene where the T-Rex was chasing the Jeep. Because it needs to look like it's moving really fast when, in fact, like it's a really big creature. So he had to figure out the right algorithm to slow the animation down just enough where it looked realistic. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was kind of like, damn, that's crazy that like he had to go through all that work to like figure that shit out.
Yeah, and they already shot everything down to the bone, even to like the jerk of the Jeep, where they had this rig that basically jolted like a part of the Jeep to go up, and I never noticed. I was like trying to figure out like, is that visible in the movie? Turns out it's not. So I was just like, it's all camera trick. They fucking hide that shit like through forced perspective and if anything. But I don't know. It was really cool to watch that.
I mean, just that scene in general where you see the T-Rex going on the Jeep. I guess. Right. I guess
he
right now
doesn't go on the Jeep, but you know he chases it and then.
Yeah, this is a good start to go into top 2? What do you think?
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, just like, I mean, I forgot to even ask. Like, when was the first time you watched this movie? Like,
Man, I probably had watched it with my brothers. I remember seeing it in an old VHS,
right,
just the cardboard one.
the cardboard.
And
one.
it was very ominous because it just had like,
It was just all black, and then
it was
just
all
had the
black
logo.
and then it had the red logo on it. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I don't want to watch this.
I want to watch it.
But then on the back, you see the picture, like a little small picture of like two velociraptors. And it was a kitchen scene, I think, that was on the back of the VHS.
Yeah, I remember the Brachiosaurus when like it first lifted its arm. That was like the whole image scene
Yeah.
of it, and then they had like different clips of different scenes. And
Well, it
stuff.
was like the reveal,
Yeah.
It was like the reveal of it, and the reveal was the brontosaurus.
Yeah, the Brachiosaurus.
Like when they pull up and then they pull up in the jeeps and then they stop the jeeps
yeah,
and they look all amazed.
it's too. I always want to like. It's hard now to like imagine, but I just want to imagine how people reacted to that. I think I asked one person like, oh, before like you even like watch this movie, I know there was like a stop motion, like, but what do you think about that? And I asked this person that, and I was just like, yeah, like it was just something different, It's just like you can't imagine going back to like, to stop motion.
Right.
It's because at this point you're already used to like this thing that just happened like early on, and all we get is like CGI. But you got to realize that this is the CGI where it just like broke grounds because like the texture, like how believable it was to see like an actual dinosaur, and they didn't use stop motion. A lot of people thought it was gonna be like stop motion, but when they saw that, it's just like, what the hell is this? Like,
Yeah.
fuck. And a lot of this movie, like just the shit that they say is so meta, because after you see that the Brachiosaurus do that, they turn over to like John Hammond, who's like in charge of Jurassic Park, and then they ask him like, how do you do that? And he's like, I'll show you. But and then people discover how that shit was like, how that movie was made. It's like, okay, we're actually going to show you. It's this thing that's created by fucking computers. And like this movie, it's about technology. This whole movie is about technology. It's about like computers. It's about like the fear of computers and a little bit of AI in that sense.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest plots in the movie, I mean, the plot is, the hacker, he goes and he's trying to steal.
It's not the biggest plot, but it's implied there. But it's like,
But that's the reason shit starts going awry.
yeah, but it's like the reliability of technology that they rely on so much that they just like, they didn't think that they should, but they actually did it anyways.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not just like about like living dinosaurs. It's also like, the consequences of technology and bringing things back that they're not supposed to be here at all.
I mean, and that's a cool thing is like, I mean, just thinking about the set of just the gates, those
Yeah.
gates are iconic.
It
you know,
is.
like seeing
What do you
that
keep
stuff,
in there, King Kong?
Yeah, what do you keep in there, right?
Yeah.
It's like that sells the movie. That's what sells the movie and makes it realistic is that they were able to make these consoles and these like automatic gates and opening things,
And even the like semi-autonomous cars.
Yeah.
As well, But they were like relying on the rail system, so it's like, it's not predating like autonomous cars, but it's like on the way to becoming that thing.
self-driving cars, basically.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly. It's just like, like a lot of things here is just like, it's basically a moral story about technology and basically about things of the natural world that shouldn't be. Well, they were once, but due to natural selection, dinosaurs got extinct, and then them having to bring it back. It's just like yeah, it's amazing, but like, what are you doing? Because after the amazement of like going into through Jurassic Park, there's a whole dinner scene which if you were a kid, you would watch that scene as like, oh, it's so boring. It's adult talk and stuff. But as an adult and you understand it, it's just like, wow, that's actually the fucking heart of the movie. You know?
What scene? What are you talking about?
There's this whole fucking scene that they're at the dinner table, and basically there's a bunch of projections going on, and they're projections of like, oh, it's concept art, is how much they're making in revenue, what's the estimate of like how much they're gonna make out this park, and all it is just like business sense and the business aspect of like how much they're gonna make off this new thing that they're making.
Yeah.
But you know, the scientists like Alan, Ellie, and Ian, even Ian, Malcolm,
Jeff
they're all
Goldblum.
saying they're all saying, bro, this is a bad
idea.
It's a bad idea. You know what? Not only does this movie is super meta because like, you know, all the things that were going on in the making of this movie, but also like the making of like the other movies where it's like, I mean, what are they doing with this franchise? You know what I mean? It's just like, here's a clip. You know what I mean?
If I may, I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You know, you read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility for it. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could. And before you even knew what you had, you patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it. Well,
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
That's the whole movie right there. No, but I think that's like the most important thing about this movie. Because all you think about is like, oh, it's dinosaurs, but it's like much more than that. And I think that's the only reason why the first movie actually worked and then the rest of the sequels just didn't. But it's also saying about a very important moral message that even the book like was very much establishing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's just like not all fun and games, but it was just also like the dangers of having to bring something back from the dead and stuff. It's a Frankenstein story in itself, if you think about it. It's a monster movie.
Yeah, it's a monster movie for sure. I mean, but it's just, I mean, it's cool in the aspect of we're able to see these things for the first time in a way that has never been shown before, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's exciting, I think. And I think just, again, like the only way the first movie worked is because, you know, it was exciting.
Yeah.
And then now we're just so used to it that you just don't even think about it.
Yeah, and I mean, now it's more about the action, right?
Yeah.
And then it was just like, there was a story that was like essence to, you know, kind of what the whole meaning behind everything and why they were taking the steps they were taking. And, you know, you got this eccentric old man over here, you know, just like kind of leading the charge. And it's just
exactly. It was a man with a dream.
Like, you don't get, like, nowadays, if you were to do something like that, it would be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is cheesy as fuck, you know? Like, I feel like if you would see, like, an eccentric old man, like, you know, like,
I think eccentric
like
old mans are never gonna stop.
Yeah.
From becoming old or eccentric. But
you're not wrong in that aspect.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot of what this movie is about is also like life and death in itself, you know? Because if you really pay attention, and it took me a while, I watched this movie like 73 times, I think. I lost count. I watched this since I was like 3, I think. I don't remember when was the first time I watched it, but what I always did notice is the color use. There's a lot of usage of colors and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, with like Alan and Ellie, like they use blue colors and pink colors a lot. And that's just like to establish like, oh, there's a gender identification in this movie, you know? Because they make a whole point where like, oh, all the dinosaurs are female, so that way they don't breed. But turns out they could still breed.
Yeah.
They somehow could still breed because they, without thinking about it, they put frog DNA, and when it comes to frogs, they could actually change genders.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was the one plot of it, and that's how they were able to start seeing eggs and stuff.
Exactly. So they were just like, I thought Grandpa said like all the eggs, all the dinosaurs were girls.
And then what does he say?
And then he's like, they did put frogs DNA. They did tell us that.
I remember what Ian says after that. He goes, "Nature finds a way.
Nature finds a way.
Your life finds a way, right?"
Yeah, because they just don't know like what the concept. Well, how the concept's gonna turn out, because it could go any way. I'm gonna go this far. I did make this revelation because this movie is about technology, and of course AI is definitely coming to kill us all. But a lot of the AI is much like the dinosaurs. You made it, and then somehow you don't know the consequences of that. And there's a lot of freaking things that they didn't predict. They didn't predict that the raptors were gonna learn to open doors. You didn't predict that, you know, they could change their own race, or gender. And there was just a lot of things that Malcolm was pointing out that was like good points, but at the same time he was getting ignored. And then what do you know? He was right. And sometimes he hates being right.
Yeah.
As soon as that T-Rex just comes out like that. But yeah, that, and also the way that John Hammond was dressed in white and Ian Malcolm was black. It's almost like God and the devil were fighting. Yeah. There's a lot of imagery that was just there. It's just like, this movie is just, some people call it as perfect because everything has a meaning into it. From down to like where Alan was just like, he was at the beginning when they were like going down on the helicopter, they were touching down, they were landing on the helicopter. He didn't have like the seatbelt where like, you know, you have to put this one into this one, and instead like, I can't find the other one, so he had like two little ones that were like inserted, or we would say like the female version of it, and just like wrap it together. And it's just like, it's a funny scene, but that's also meaningful. And it's just like, now I fucking get it. You know, again, just like a lot of gender shit going on. And yeah, it's just a lot of debate. Well, a lot of things that you could like digest and just like analyze in this movie, you know, like all this shit's made for, some of the things are made for laughs, but also it's like
there's meaning behind it.
There's meaning behind it and stuff, you know. Even down to like John Hammond saying, we spare no expense.
Right.
You know, because every time he said it, I never noticed it, but every time he said it, it was a different meaning. I got the clip.
I spared no expense.
Spared no expense.
Spared no expense. We spared no expense. Spared no expense.
You said it 5 times. I never noticed that.
Holy shit, that's a lot of times.
Yeah.
Well, what was each one talking about? The first one was what?
The first one, I don't remember. It was also for different reasons. And it was, when he said that, it was like, he did spare an expense. But what he's saying is like, it was totally worth it. That's what he's actually saying. Uh-huh. It was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
I think that last part was like him saying that. And I'm just like, fuck. Again, a lot of things to digest for this movie.
That's wild.
Yeah, to take in.
All right, beer check. How you doing?
I like this beer.
It's very fruity beer.
I freaking like it. So like, very fruity. It's very topical to like what we were talking about, because again, this movie takes place in like Costa Rica, which is tropical and stuff. Not even mentioned. It was a hard shoot because they shot this shit in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And there was a rainstorm going on. And some of the
They
footage,
shot it during hurricane season.
yeah, and some of the footage that they have of the hurricane that was going on in the movie, that's actual real footage that was happening during the production of this movie and stuff. So I was just like, oh fuck, like this is fucking amazing. That
Like the lightning and shit was real then?
yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, that was all real footage, bro. Like of the,
That's why it seems so intense.
I mean,
Like the wind was blowing. Like that shit was fucking crazy.
yeah.
They were like, all right, we're going to do it.
They got to match it because
That's
It
crazy.
was just like tropical and everything. And it's just like, oh, we got to have rain. And again, another difficult thing was the T-Rex when it actually moved as an animatronic. Because, it was a lot of, what was it made, latex for the skin? I mean, if you put water on that shit, it's going to weigh it down. And they had a difficult time of moving the actual, like, animatronic from that. So, just, you could kind of notice it, like, in the movie, in some shots where it's, like, kind of jerky. And that's due to the water weighing down on the latex or the layer of that, of the T-Rex.
Oh, yeah, they had to keep drying it or something, right?
Yeah, they had to keep drying that shit. And they had to, like, just keep going on with it. And it's weird to, like, think about knowing that this isn't Spielberg's like first rodeo when it comes to like mechanical things going array.
Like things you didn't like initially think about when you created.
No. I'm saying like in the past experience for Spielberg, because he also had like a difficulty with Jaws because mechanically they couldn't move it like the way that it did.
And that's fucking thing about CGI that you can't, that like beats it 100%. You don't have to deal with all
It's
those
really
elements.
hard. Yeah.
It's, you have to physically, you have to create them. You have to create the elements, And that's the whole thing about it. You're creating these elements that normally, rain and stuff like that, that's real, but like they didn't foresee the latex having, well, maybe they did foresee the latex.
I think they did.
Being weighed down, but I mean, that puts time off production, that takes time off production. And it's like that extra money is probably worth spending to, do it the CGI route,
Yeah, if anything. But I think they just did it right because they didn't just utilize like, CGI, but also animatronics.
Yeah.
And I think that's what ages so well in this movie. And a lot of people argue like, oh yeah, this movie's way better than anything we see like nowadays. But it's not entirely true, but I get what they're saying and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely, because I mean, that's what they're doing. They're starting to do now again, is they're mixing real life practical effects with CGI, and it gives it a more realistic look. And that's exactly what they did in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
because they were already going to go off the bat with practical effects. This was going to be a practical effects movie.
Yeah. Another thing I'm thinking about that's kind of like more in the whole picture of things is artificiality and natural things.
Right.
You're making something, artificially, and then you're making something that's like, oh, that's natural in that sense.
Meta, bro. Meta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even down to like, I think there's a part where like they're going up the stairs, and then of course after watching the Brachiosaurus, they're like, I guess we're out of the job. They're talking about paleontology.
Yeah.
And then Ian Malcolm just walks away and it says, I guess, don't you mean extinct?
Yeah.
I wish I could have had that clip, but we had too many clips in this.
Well, they said that in they said that when when Steven Spielberg, after they watched that clip, and he said, we're doing the movie this way. He's like, it looks fucking way better. Like, we're doing the movie this way. He took Phil aside because, they said like Spielberg, he was an emotional guy. Well, like he could read people, he was a people person, So he knew this was a big fucking blow to him because it was like they were already planning to do it with his route. So he took him aside and he was like, hey man, like, how do you feel about this? And he kind of just looked at him and said, I feel extinct. And Spielberg went like, that's a good line. We're putting it in the movie.
I think that's how it went. It's just like, oh shit.
That's the whole buildup is like, at first he's like an emotional guy and he's just like snaps out of it and is like, that's a good line. We're going to put that in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And it's you know, everything happens for a reason. I think this movie is just like, okay, well, we know we're taking a big step, so we might as well go all the way with this, inside jokes or not. But I mean, it's hella great and everything. I want to talk about the characters.
Let's do it. Why don't you finish that beer and we'll crack another one open?
Yay.
And then we'll go from there. Dude, the end of this beer is phenomenal. You get all of the texture and the tones of the beer right at the end, dude. It's like this little.
I think the bitterness just went down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of went away towards the middle when we did the middle beer check for me.
Yeah.
But now towards the end of it, I'm getting a really hazy, really tropical kind of lactosey. I mean, because that's what they do to bring on the haze. I think they put lactose, right? Like a little bit of lactose.
Yeah, it seems like they do have a lot of lactose in some of the beers and stuff. But only
this
to bring
one just is really, just smell it.
What is the benefit of putting lactose in the beer?
It gives it the hazy texture.
Really?
Gives it that milkiness.
Yeah, but...
And I mean, for some of them, gives it like a richer texture. Like, think about like the chocolate stouts.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm thinking in terms of like chocolate stouts and all that. But I understand stouts, but something like like a double IPA.
I mean, you're seeing the result right here. This is what it is. It gives it like that texture. You kind of get that mouthfeel of I don't know. It's like little graininess. And I've seen at the bottom of some, because like when a hazy IPA has been on the shelf for a while and not refrigerated, you could tell like it kind of gets a buildup. It's like a little white buildup or whatever.
Like it's a
and
resin?
You could see it at the bottom of your glass sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it here?
But this one, no, you can't see it because it's been you've been refrigerating it the whole time, right?
Yeah, basically.
You got it from the refrigerator at Ramirez? Mm-hmm. Then that's why. See, when it's a hazy beer, you want to keep that shit refrigerated like all the time.
Yeah. Duly noted.
Yeah.
If anything. Let's take a quick break on this one.
We're back, people, with a brand new beer. What do we got over here?
We have the Lost at Shore, a Bohemian style Pilsner by Delahunt Brewing Company.
So I picked this out because it's an island. Jurassic Park's an island. And there was a lot of island related beers, but this one just had the funniest stony looking guy on it, so I had to get it.
It stands out. Look at that. It's funny. That's comedy right there.
It just makes me smile. I'm going to keep one in my fridge just so I can see this guy.
Maybe because it looks like you.
Maybe. I don't have a beard like that.
Yeah.
He looks like he's lost on the island and he don't give a shit neither.
Yeah, he looks like...
Crazy looking crab. Chizo's the artist is.
Yeah.
His tags on
this would have been perfect for like a Castaway episode.
I know, dude.
To cover fucking Castaway.
Dude, we did watch We need to do like when we watch the movie and just do commentary on it.
Yeah, it's just like
Can
a
we
watch
do
along.
that?
Yeah, we could do a watch along if anything, but you have to watch it along with us. That's the whole point. We can't put the audio of the movie in there, but you have to watch it at the same time as we can, so that way it works.
That's kind of funny. That would be kind of.
We doing that shit.
I don't know. We could see if that works.
Shit.
Okay, check this out. It has some verbiage on the side. Left at the gates of the eternal sand crystals with no knowledge of rescue to return, survivors must endure the harsh land and acid volcanoes in order to defeat the elements of these lost lands. For the Pilsner, we brewed a Bohemian-style lager with floor-malted Pilsner attached Northern German Vienna malts. Ooh, sounds fancy. We then hop this beer with Czech Saz hops throughout the brewing and fermentation process, giving it notes of jungle cedar, dry lemons, ciabatta crackers, and subtle lavender finish. What the fuck is going on with this beer, dude? It sounds awesome, though. We're about to find out. Let's give it a crack. Oh yeah, Peggy Hill.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. A whole lot lighter from the looks of it. Just light-bodied beer.
It's a Pilsner. But you know what it got me with? Jungle Cedar? What the fuck? Jungle Cedar, my dude?
What the hell?
What is Jungle Cedar?
I want to know what it tastes like.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Whoa. It's like a dank Pilsner.
Kind of.
It's like space dust, but a Pilsner.
It's definitely. It definitely smells like a Pilsner.
It looks like a Pilsner. Acts
And
like
it
a
looks like a
Pilsner,
Pilsner.
but
It acts
tastes
like
like,
a
apparently Jungle Cedar.
Jungle Cedar. What?
That's what it said, bro. It said
Yeah, I
Jungle
know.
Cedar.
It's just like. Is this what a Jungle Cedar tastes like?
Giving it notes. We then hopped it with Czech Saz hops. Czech Saz hops. That's what it says.
Huh.
It's CZECH. Pretty sure it's pronounced Czech, right? I don't know, but hey,
Who are we to say?
Like honestly, I don't even know what to say about this beer
Yeah, I know.
because it's almost like I've tried this beer before, but I haven't.
Yeah, it's like. It's almost going into that territory of going into Bud Light.
Yeah, because it's a Pilsner. It's
it's
super
like,
light, but it's
there's
like
a weediness to it. Like off, like
it's a 5.2, so
I
it's
drink
not.
it and then I just like I kind of taste it a little bit, and there's like a weediness to it that's like similar to like Bud Light. But I can't like make a full assessment on like how I actually feel about it. I still have mixed feelings. Sorry. But I think it's just like the bitterness I still have from the other beer, if anything.
Man, I don't know. This is just for me. It's like it's giving that lighter, like it's not as carbonated as the last beer. You know,
Feels like it's more carbonated.
really for you. For me,
it
it's. I mean, I'm just looking at the bubbles, and it's like the other one had a lot more bubbles in it. This one's a little more.
Guess so. I don't know. Well, it's gonna take some
It's
time.
weird. It's bitter, but there's like a lemon zing. Like if you just try it,
actually
just
tasted the
taste like a
lemon zing?
little bit. Yeah, no, like try just a little bit. Like don't do a full gulp, just like a little bit. There's lemony zest in there.
Kind of know what you mean.
Yeah, it's getting there. Okay,
There's a
let's
little
move
bit of
forward.
bitterness. Yep.
We'll do a beer check later. All right,
All right.
so we want to talk about characters now of Jurassic Park.
Characters, yeah. So, I think characters is like the most important part of this movie.
Wait, hold on real quick. Hey Google, what day did Jurassic Park come out?
June 12th, 1993. Damn it. June 11th.
June 11th, 1993.
You know, that was on a Sunday when it actually came out of this year, the anniversary. And then the next
No.
day, I went to Universal, and it was on the 12th.
In 1993 you went?
No. I'm saying because it was 30. Hey, shut up. Oh, she heard me. She heard me say that I went to Universal.
Yeah.
No, I went to Universal the day after June 11th. I went on the 12th. And then during the studio tour, they tell us, like, oh, just yesterday, it's the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park. And I'm just like, damn right it is.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah. I wish I could have gone on the day, but, you know.
Wait, it was like an automated person saying that? Like,
No. It was actually an actual person
oh,
saying
that's
that
cool
in the
that they
tour.
know that.
Yeah. So they got to know that. I mean, it's like they're the studio tour guy,
Yeah.
you know. But, yeah, I
30
wish I could have
years,
gone on
man.
Sunday.
That's wild.
Yeah, because Universal is actually getting kind of overpopulated, I would say. So even on going on the Monday, it's just like really bad. It's just like there's so many wait times. It's just like, oh, fuck. And forget it, on the weekends it's much worse. Way worse. But anyways, I went there. I got these cups. It was a good time. I actually went to the Jurassic World ride for the first time.
In this one, you actually see a
Yeah.
lot of dinosaurs, bro.
You see more than what I wish they could have changed some of the animatronics, but I guess it still works. But yeah, some of the new changes they work. Like with the Indominus Rex, Indominus Rex coming down. It's just like, oh shit, that shit came out of nowhere.
That shit's dope. Well, when you see him fight and shit, that shit was dope. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no. I was like, there's no way. Like, they're actually fucking fighting right here. I was like, that was tight.
I think that's the one overseas, but yeah, sure.
They fight.
Let them fight.
That shit was awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, characters.
The T-Rex.
The T-Rex is the character.
He's vicious, man.
She's vicious.
She's vicious. And let me tell you, that's the same one that they had in the new one.
Yeah, I don't know why. That shit's like 30 years old. It's like, goddamn girl, like, she got her ass beat. She almost got her ass beat.
She let nature pave a way, find a way.
But yet, she found a way to fucking fight that shit.
Yeah. All right, that's a good synopsis on the T-Rex character. All right, what else you got? Well, who's your favorite character?
I like Alan Grant.
Okay.
He
reminds you of your dad?
Yes. How do you know? You're tripping me out. No, it's because, you know what it is? Also, another character that reminds me of my dad, Indiana Jones. And they were actually going for, like, what if we make him into an Indiana Jones type of character?
Uh-huh.
So, in the concept art of Jurassic Park, you could kind of see, like, the Indiana Jones-esque character in that. And then it's just like, oh, shit. And then, you know, it does kind of remind me of my dad and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and then we also have Ellie, which is like, she studies plants, but I don't know what the term is.
Herbologist.
I guess that's what it's called. And, you know, she's smart and she's able to figure out how to, like, identify, like, a plant. And, also a thing in the movie that you didn't realize is just, not only did they bring back animals from back in the past, they also brought plants from back in the past.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and they didn't show this in the movie, but in the trailer, on their way to seeing the Brachiosaurus, she actually, like, picks up from the trailer, she picks up, like, a plant, like, out of nowhere, and she, like, rips it apart, and she's seeing that shit. And if you were to watch this carefully, in the movie, she's actually still looking at that same plant, and she's making a comment about that. But a lot of people don't really, like, pick that shit up unless you watch the trailer and then watch the movie, and it's like, oh, that makes much more sense. But a lot of us actually just watch the movie as opposed to watching the trailer. But yeah, she's a dominant force in this movie because she makes a lot of good comments about feminism and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was one of the ones where it was kind of like she was at a moment a damsel in distress, but she was also making moves to, like, make sure that all the gates would be locked and stuff like that.
No, she was. I would argue against that. She was not a damsel in distress. I think she held her own to the point where, like, okay, well,
she needed help.
No, she did not need help at all.
Yeah, because remember when she was calling when what's his name's arm was caught in the thing, and she was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, but she just ran, and she just, like, she didn't need any help. And they make a good comment where, like, they were about to go into, like, go turn up the power again, and she said, like, okay, well, I'm gonna go with Molden to you know, restore the power. And then there's a moment where, like, John Hamm is just like, well, you can't go because you're okay. Later, when I come back, we're gonna talk about sexism and, you know, this not technique, but the topic of sexism and in survival situations.
And that is, like, theming over the whole movie in itself, too.
Yeah, again, with gender becoming an important role in this movie and stuff. But she actually holds her own. She ran away from the fucking raptor.
Barely, fucking A. That shit was wild.
She fucking ran from that shit.
Well, I mean, during that scene,
danger too.
Yeah, she went. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Only
Both
at that
times.
scene when she needed help was she, like, the damsel. But all the other moments in the movie, she was fucking a force to be reckoned with.
I think it was just a force throughout the whole movie, but I'm just saying.
Excuse me.
But yeah, definitely a strong female character, and played none other by like Lauren Dern. Lauren Dern. And I feel like she's made a comeback in the few years that we've been watching movies, and it's just like, oh, early on she was this character, and then everyone appreciates that shit. And it's just like, oh, duly noted.
Yeah.
So I think the work for her was just like done. It's just like, oh, she's always been a strong female character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like her. She's fucking great. It's gonna sound weird, but this guy, I was watching this I forgot what YouTube channel it was, but they were analyzing Jurassic Park, and literally this guy was dressed as Lauren Dern. Like he had like the pink fucking just the denim shirt.
Sorry, we don't do that shit on this podcast.
Yeah, she had a pink denim shirt, and then he was just like, dude, I just had a crush on her, and I'm literally dressing as her, and I'm just like, we're literally at a day and age where like gender identification is a thing, and it's just like, you know what? By all means.
So are you gonna dress up as her for Halloween?
I'm not. I'm just saying, it's just like, I like the appreciation, even though like it's not something that I would do to appreciate like a female character, but by all means, fucking go for it, bro. But yeah, we're living at this time and age, and of course, it's a movie about like gender role does play a big game on this movie, and
life finds a way.
Let's talk about Ian Malcolm.
Yeah, he's I think out of all of them, he's probably my favorite character.
Yeah,
just because
that's my second favorite character.
He's the most like down to earth one. He's just being real about the whole situation.
He's a realist, yeah.
And he's kind of just looking at all of it. Even though it seems like he's just tripping out on everything, he's really looking at it from a scientific lens. The whole entire time,
yeah,
and exactly. Doing it in a way like when you think about scientists, you don't think about Dr. Ian Malcolm.
No, he's, if anything, he's like the rock star of
That's what I'm saying.
They even said it in the movie. He's like, oh, you gotta get used to his personality. He's sort of like the rock star in math. About math, and he's like, no. I like to think about it chaotician. And chaotician is not a real thing. He just made that shit up because he's just like, I'm my own thing that you can't define me.
That's what
like a rock
about.
star. He dresses all in black, which is fucking funny. But also, he's a common sense in this movie, and I think he has all the best lines in this fucking movie.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what
it's
I mean?
Not that he has the best lines. It's that he comes up with the best lines. His character comes up with the best lines. His character's a badass. That's why
when
I
they
like
find
him.
him after the T-Rex attack, he's like, remind me to thank John for the greatest weekend.
Like the sarcasm, the fucking the off the top,
even when he's
the one-liners, you know.
I know I did butcher that line, but he's the sarcasm is definitely
charismatic.
There, but even as like the darkest moments that's happened to him at that moment, he tries to find a way to like humor it. I think it's just like his
coping mechanism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's just all about this. It's just dark humor. It's just the dark components of all that.
That's what I'm saying, and that's the first kind
He's the devil.
Well, that's the first time you've seen a character like that in one of his movies.
Right. Because he's definitely played like a character like, I would say, The Fly. He was definitely like a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a scientist that was like a little fucked up, and he was in love.
Well, he was thinking about things 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I think what was asked for him is like, oh, you're a fucking genius, but you're just eccentric and young.
Yeah.
As opposed to being old and eccentric. Like how it is with like John Hammond. His opposite. Let's talk about John Hammond.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite characters for sure. He's probably my second favorite character. Old eccentric dude. Wears all white. Has a beard that's white. Wears glasses. Walks around with the cane of the actual mosquito that fucking started Jurassic Park.
Yeah, exactly. he is like the symbolism, like the ultimate symbolism of optimism and innovation. Like it's just all the calling cards for like what it means to be God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's like the all-powerful person there.
Yeah, he's like the All Father in that. He's like the Thor. He's the Zeus. He's just the guy that just like, oh, I made all this happen. And when he brings the scientists who are all realists, it's just like, oh, I wasn't expecting this, but they're all the voice of reasons. But yet this guy's just through his arrogance, he's just like not believing every word. Refuses to believe like, okay, well, I'm expecting good criticism from this when it happens at the dinner table, but yet he's bringing all the points that he should be hearing, should be considering at that point of the scene, but he's not, and he's just like, fuck.
I think
like,
he's just so overwhelmed with the fact that he actually made it happen. Like he's so
he's in denial of like, he might have seen this problems happen, but he's in denial that it's like, oh, let's just focus on the positive.
Yeah. I mean, well, he's trying to sell it. He's being a salesman
Right.
in this movie, you know? Like that's his role right now. He's trying to get the funding, he's trying to get the scientists to back him up. He's trying to get everything possible so he looks like, you know, he's basically making sure that it's safe for everybody, for the public to visit. He wants to put that appearance on. Like, you know, that's why he's treating them so nice. He brought his grandkids, right?
Right.
Over to come and witness Adam and Eve,
Ah,
the paradise.
exactly. Yeah. Another God reference. But yeah, he kind of ignores that shit. I don't know, even like in the raptor scene when like he's making that point, well, Ian Malcolm is making that point where it's just like, you know, life finds a way. They're witnessing like a raptor hatching from the egg and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I think if you really notice, like, I think the staging of that fucking scene where like they're absorbing the raptors,
Like the embryo.
yeah, the embryo and all that, and it's like oval, right?
Yeah.
You see Ian Malcolm sort of like circle around,
Yeah.
taking all that shit in and stuff, and then you just see like Hammond just excited and happy. He's all like, I make sure that every hashing that happens, like I'm there, like they have to imprint on me, and it's sort of like that force of arrogance that's just like going on and being
The God
involved while like
complex.
Ian is just absorbing everything and just like, what are you doing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it seemed like good and evil, but at the same time it's like, it's very complex. It's just the opposite way. It's just like, no, you're not thinking of like the consequences of this. And I think Hammond is again blinded by his ambitions.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
that's what I was trying to say.
and also
earlier.
the optimism is also blinding him from like, you know,
Well,
actually
it's not
seeing
just
the whole
it's
picture.
he's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk.
Yeah.
You know, like he has these fucking dinosaurs in his park right now, living, breathing animals and creatures, you know, but did he foresee the fact that they would be able to breed again? No. You know, and that was his fault.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, like that clip from Ian Malcolm earlier, is they were so involved with everything, they never thought what they were doing was right. You know, they were so worried about if they could do it or if they should do it.
Yeah. They were too excited to think like, oh, this is possible. Let's just fucking do it.
Well, that's all of them. That was the whole mentality that he put on his whole scientist. Because if he was in charge of the scientist group, you know, and he has that outlook, then he's definitely imprinting that onto them, the scientists.
It's also going back how Spielberg is supporting like all the people he's hired.
Yeah.
In that sense.
I mean, definitely a cool,
again,
eccentric character. Kind of reminds me of the eccentric old man from Atlantis. If you've ever seen Atlantis.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, because he's rich.
Okay.
He's like all into like old stuff and creatures. And
Yeah.
if you noticed, this is totally sidebar, but in Atlantis, when you're in his living quarters and you see the aquarium behind him,
Yeah.
he actually has extinct like fish and stuff inside his
Yeah.
aquarium.
It is.
You know, so there's
Yeah,
that.
definitely passionate about like the marine life and.
I think I want to watch
oceanography.
that movie tonight.
I think I wanted to. I think after this.
I haven't watched that movie in so long. That's one of my favorite movies.
Dude, you know, you want to. I think I told you this, but the first time I watched it was like at the Norwalk. It was like a little theater there. That's like only like, it's cheap. It's like $6.
Yeah.
And after I came out of the movie, guess who I saw? I saw Javi there, and also Cassie, and then Mimi.
Yeah, that's the spot. Where
That's
we
the
would go.
spot. And
That
I was
was
just
a
like, oh
super
shit.
saver.
And it was like, we watched the same movie. It's like, yeah, bro. It's like, oh fuck, that's funny.
No, it was a super saver. Yeah,
The Super Saver, super memories. Go there.
there you go. Anyways, moving forward. Other characters in the movie. We did the Doctor, Ian Malcolm, the
Gennaro,
two
the blood sucking lawyer.
Oh yeah.
You know, if this movie was a PG-13, I'm sure it would be cocksucking lawyer.
Dude,
I know that's
jeez.
what they mean.
That lawyer, man, he was the one that was just concerned with the numbers.
Yeah.
And concerned with
I think after he
liability.
just saw what he made, he was just sold like, fuck the consequences, fuck it. It's like, we're going to make money off this. Because, of course, it's like lawyers and stuff.
Yeah.
And, again, another Jaws connection. Spielberg actually based the shark from that movie based on his lawyer, who was named Bruce. And then that was the nickname for that fucking mechanical shark, Bruce.
Fucking A.
Yeah. And of course, if you watch Finding Nemo, that's the reason why they call him Bruce. You could also learn that in the Universal tour at Universal Studios. Go visit. But I would. I'm like,
You just need a pass there, man.
honestly, you just have to go for express. It's fucking packed, but if you go express, it'll totally be worth it. I didn't do that, but I wish I did.
Yeah. That's the way to go. That's what I do during Horror Nights. Express all the way. $40. Worth it.
We gotta talk about the children.
Yeah, the Adam and Eve, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are their names?
Lexi and
Adam,
No.
Billy? Billy,
Timmy.
that's right.
Yeah.
Tim.
So Tim is like the dinosaur expert, while Lexi's like the computer nerd. I'm not a computer nerd. I'm a hacker.
That's right. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. This was the first movie that, like,
One of the first movies.
you see computers really take a big role in the whole story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is the point of the technology. Just like, you know, you have someone that's like, knows about technology, which is the innovation moving forward when it comes to like human, when it comes to like, you know, our future and whatnot. And
Yeah.
then we also have paleontology, which is what Timmy is thinking about. And that's like the history. That's the study of the past, basically. So we got like two, you know,
Yeah.
different degrees of opposite realms of the spectrum and stuff. So it's just like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's like one knows all of the natural world and one knows all of the technology
Artificial.
world. All the artificial stuff.
Natural
you know?
versus artificial reality.
And they both work together to kind of overcome what's going on, because
Yeah.
she's the one that saves everybody, the girl.
Yeah, exactly. Good. I will feel like she's more of the dancer of distress in this movie, because I don't feel like
Until
she's
she gets on
beginning-
that keyboard.
Until she gets on that keyboard, she knows
Yeah.
what she's doing. And
Well,
she
she's
saves
also
everyone.
younger. She's a kid, you know? So,
Yeah.
like, both of them were, I mean, even the younger kid was a damsel in distress, that Timmy boy,
That's true.
you know?
Yeah. If anything, but I think like
I mean, but that's what I
Through-
feel like, having the kids there kind of up the stakes on everything. Because it's
That's true.
like, you
But
know, now
I
the
think
adults,
yeah.
now the adults kind of have to look after the kids, and you know that, you know, like the
Well,
kids are kind of,
that's the thing when it comes to the beginning of like, you know, when we're introduced to Alan and Ellie. Alan doesn't even like kids, and then Ellie does. So basically, Alan has like a whole arc about like, oh, well, he dislikes kids, and then you really get to see that when he scares the kid about like the whole raptor scene.
Yeah.
When he says like, "Oh, it
sounds
looks like
a giant chicken to me."
it just looks like a 6-foot turkey to me," and then everyone laughs. And then also another thing about that scene, everyone's dressed like them. They have like this red and blue thing going on.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's just like they're super fans, but at the same time, again, gender roles.
Mm-hmm.
So in that scene, he basically explains like, "Oh, raptors are actually pretty scary. If anything, they don't attack you like, foot forward. They come from the sides," which is not only serving like a character arc where like, oh, Alan hates kids and he's gonna scare this kid straight, but it's also a foreshadowing of how raptors actually attack and stuff. So it's just like we got this beginning of his fascination with dinosaurs, which the fascination with dinosaurs begin when you're a kid and you're just basically a big kid, but you don't like kids in the first place. And by the end of the movie, once you get to know the kids, even like asking one of the kids like, "Oh, what's that dinosaur there?" Where he could have just like just pretty much like what do you call it, just not estimated, but just like educationally guess like what that dinosaur was. But instead he just went back to him and said like, "Oh, Timmy, like what's that dinosaur?" I think that was like a bit of that growth going into it. And by the end of the movie, he's basically like the father figure in that movie.
Well, yeah, he definitely is, and the thing is like Timmy gives that context of like he's giving him hope almost in
Yeah,
kids and stuff like that, because he sees that Timmy's smart.
he sees
He
that
knows
Timmy's,
his shit.
He sees Timmy through him.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah.
And then also like, yeah, that's a big positive on this movie, but also a big negative because you don't really get to see that same how would I say it? How would I say it?
Like,
Just
what do
like
you mean?
because he doesn't treat like Timmy the same way he treats like with Lexi.
Right.
But with Lexi, he's just like, okay, well, he's being careful with Lexi,
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, oh, they're not sharing the same passion,
Yeah.
Because he doesn't like technology
Mm-hmm.
at all. So it's like he doesn't have anything for her. So I don't know. It's just one of the little flaws about that movie where we could have seen Lexi, we definitely see her pull her own, but definitely see like a growth.
But I think
between them.
that was the whole thing about it too, is because it was so undermined.
Exactly.
It was undermined, and then at the end of it, it ends up being the thing that saves them.
Yeah. It just seems like kind of out of nowhere. I wish
Yeah.
we could have seen like a little power of that, but you know what? I think I'm not gonna like totally make that a big flaw of the movie in that sense. But I mean, either way, it just works its cards right when it comes to like what this movie was trying to be. But I mean, yeah, it's a good combination between. I didn't notice that, but the opposite of like the natural and artificiality between the two. But definitely Adam and Eve.
That's what we do on this podcast,
That's what
baby.
we do.
That's what we do. Who
Yeah.
else?
Molden. He's the game warden. The guy in the beginning. The guy that.
Clever girl.
Clever girl.
You mean the guy that terribly gets eaten?
Yeah, it's terrifying. Even though it's off screen, you know what the fuck is going on. But that's like we said before, Alan made a foreshadowing of that, and then we get to see it on one of the characters that didn't deserve it.
And then that's what was cool about this movie too. It's like the shaking of the trees. Like you didn't have to see what was there, but you could just
It's
like
due to
imagine.
your imagination that yeah, all that shit gets like filled in because you really don't know what's going on, but you see the shaking, you see the coverage, he's getting attacked, and it's like a puppet, prosthetic. No, yeah, it's a puppet basically. An animatronic of a freaking raptor just on top of him. It looks silly in context, but in reality, it's just like an animal attacking you. And it's just like, it's fucking terrible. And I'm just like, I like that guy.
Man, that guy was cool, but you know what? He was something that the new guy wasn't in the new Jurassic World.
Right.
What's his name?
Um,
Peter.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
I
Chris
know,
Pratt's
the Chris Pratt character.
Yeah. He wasn't like him. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because he was trying to befriend them. Like that main dude, he was more of like he was more of the hunter guy.
Yeah.
He knew how to take him out.
He was a hunter only because of the context of what he's seen before. Because of course, like the beginning of the whole movie, it intensifies and even like brings forward like, oh, what are these animals capable of? And he actually saw what this animal is capable of. And it's really terrifying, you know? It's like, yeah, it's one of the best intros to a film, but it's also bringing you context of like, oh, this is an unnatural animal that hasn't been here for like millions of years and it came back. It's like, what the fuck did we just do? Or what the fuck did they just do to bring that shit back? And literally, like, it's terrifying because you see one of the guys just like get lifted up from an unknown thing, and you don't see the fucking animal at all. And I think that's like one of the strong points of that intro because again, Spielberg not showing the creature brings in more of an imagination of what's going on of not seeing, because it's just it just makes it even more scary or more intense without knowing of what's really happening. Because he could have just, because you only see like the top half of this guy getting taken in, but what the hell's going on in the other half? You know, again, this is definitely a horror movie.
Yeah, and I mean that's what's dope about it. It's it has kids in it, so it's like at first, and that's what's really cool about this
It's
movie.
a good mix, yeah.
And it kind of gives that horror movie beginning of like, yeah, everything's gonna be cool, everything's gonna be all right, and then it's like havoc fucking ensues, you know. And I mean, for me, I think one of the scariest parts was probably the Velociraptor scene, you know, because it's suspenseful. You know, it's
Right.
like these two little kids versus like an army of fucking Velociraptors, and somehow they end up outsmarting them. You know.
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
as a little kid, you're like, that's cool because it's like, you know,
We could
it's
do
like,
anything.
I wouldn't do. I could have done that too. You know.
Yeah, it's kind of giving hope, and it's just like, oh shit, like it's also the fascination of kids being brought into this world of, you know, Jurassic Park, but also like, oh well, there's danger here, so we have to outsmart them as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like the mix of both. And even though the adults actually said like, oh, it's danger all the time.
And it's crazy because like they were smart, but to a point. Like if they saw that reflection, they couldn't tell the difference, you know, between like a reflection and the real thing.
Yeah, they're
you know?
still, if
so
anything,
they could
they're
be
still learning.
tricked.
Yeah,
You know.
it was trick only because it didn't learn what a reflection is. You know, they're just learning how to do things. Like they just barely learn how to fucking open doors, and that's smart in itself. But for the reflection, it's just like, oh, that's something they still haven't figured out. In a way, there are kids. It's kids against kids. In that sense.
Yeah. And I mean, it was definitely like a fucking battle to be reckoned with. I remember that fool started eating on that Jello. I don't know why, but I always remember that shit, and I was like, damn, I wish I could eat that Jello. That shit
It
looks
looks tasty. What is she looking
looks
terrified for?
bomb.
Like, just eat it already.
Oh man, the cup with the water. Doof, doof, doof.
You can't do that in beer. I learned that the hard way. It just moves.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Movement's fine.
exactly.
Beer's too dense, huh?
It's too dense, apparently. But
Oh, that shit's bomb.
yeah,
That shit's good, man.
that's just.
I like
fucking
this one.
great.
It's really
And
like
it's
chilling. I'm chilling on it. All right, should we talk about top
Have the
twos?
color.
Are we done with the
top twos.
characters and some scenes?
Yeah, let's go top twos.
I mean, I guess we already kind of covered one, you know?
What's cover one?
The Velociraptor scene. That was
Yeah.
one of the best ones right there.
I guess I would say the T-Rex padlock.
That's
scene.
what I was going to say earlier when I brought up top twos was the T-Rex scene with the Jeeps. That shit was fucking
No,
awesome.
when they first came into the
Oh, the goat?
with the whole goat and everything.
Yeah, the goat.
Is he gonna eat the goat?
That was a good one.
Well, you never had a lamb chops, kid?
Damn.
But that whole scene was like a perfect build up. It wasn't just like the CGI that sold it. I think it was just the build up of having to
Wait
not
to
see the dinosaur and then waiting to see like
the T-Rex.
the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Because they did bring it up earlier. It says like, oh, we clocked the T-Rex at 33 miles per hour. You have a T-Rex? And then when the T-Rex shows up, the power is out. The T-Rex figures out the power was out. And then, of course, that's how the whole build-up team, all right, I'm going to eat. And then I'm going to fuck with these guys.
And you were also saying earlier during that scene, the rain and stuff was real.
It wasn't real, but it was artificial because there was a hurricane going on. So they wanted to match like that scene. Right. But, I mean, as soon as the T-Rex just like comes out, it like rips through the whole fence. But here's the thing. I don't want to ruin this for you guys. I feel kind of bad about it. But if you realize that shit, T-Rex comes out, right? No problem. But it's also the same entry point that the car fell in. And the car fell in like 200 feet down. So how the fuck did the T-Rex
get through there if
got
it was
through
200
it
feet
when there
down?
was like this? Yeah, was it flying? Editing problems or issues. That's something they never thought about. But I guess from the editor's point of view, you can kind of see that. And it's just like, oh, wait, what?
Well, the only thing is it pushed the car to another area that was 200 feet below.
Yeah, I guess you could make that argument, but I don't know. I think it was one of the great scenes in just film history ever. Like they didn't just focus on the CGI and what they did, but it builds up to that. It was like a queen making her entrance. Of course, given the fact that they're all girls, and then the king of all the girls, appropriate name is the queen. She made her entrance, and we get to see like this is the T-Rex. This is the top predator of that time, and now it's on our times. And a lot of technicality came in through that, and a lot of difficulty came through that. And to make a great scene, to push through that great scene, a lot of difficulty had to be pushed forward for that. And honestly, they just did a great job on that.
What are you talking about? Scene where they comes out and then the banner drops?
No, that's after.
What scene are you talking about?
I'm still talking about the paddock scene.
You mean when it comes out and it starts
and
it starts threatening them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was outside the rain scene, the whole scene.
Yeah, and that was crazy because like that's what really puts you on the edge. After that part, you're not okay for the rest of the movie. You know what I'm saying?
You get to see the actual dangers that they were like telling you. Because, okay, this became real. Because after the power's out, after all the safety's down, you get to see how these dinosaurs like fucking react to the world that they're now in. And of course, they're going to be hungry. They're going to be threatening.
Whoa, hold on. Back it up.
What?
I forgot one of the biggest characters, man. The fatty.
Dennis?
Yes, Dennis, the nephew of the...
He's not a nephew.
Yeah, he's his nephew.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Nephew to who?
The main dude.
Who's the main dude?
The old guy.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No.
Look it up. I'm serious, he is.
I was going to put something up, but all right.
I'm telling you right now, how much you want to bet?
Is Dennis? That's his name. That was a... Is Dennis nearly related to John Hammond?
See?
No, I'm putting that as in... No. Okay, so this is one of the questions. Was Dennis Neary Hammond's son? He made a joke where he says like, "Oh, thanks, Dad." Anyways, Dennis Neary and Henry Wu are John Hammond's metaphorical sons. He neglects them for both for the park, and they both react accordingly.
Metaphorical sons.
Metaphorical sons.
That's weird.
No, I totally see that. Because I feel like he kind of pushes them, but they're just like, yeah, whatever, Dad. Like, okay. Like, I feel like they're more, what do you call it? What do you call me all the time?
Rebellious?
What?
They're more rebellious?
No. What do you call me all the time?
Cocksucker?
No. I'll call you that.
I don't know what you mean.
The opposite of optimism.
Pessimistic.
Yeah. They're more pessimistic on things.
Yeah. You
And
could
then
say that again.
Yeah, they see through that, and they're just like, bro, like, I'm just trying to do my own thing. Like, shut the fuck up. But no, you're wrong. Looks like you're wrong, bitch.
I guess I'm wrong. I could have swore there was a line in there that was like, oh yeah, he's my nephew.
I know what you're talking about. It was because he was telling him something, and it says like, oh yeah, gee, thanks, Dad. He was giving him advice, but
Yeah.
Henry was kind of like not being appreciated about that.
Yeah.
Because he sees through that bullshit.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh yeah, thanks, Dad. Even though he's gonna stab him in the back. Because in the way, he was like he was a corporate spy.
Yeah, he was trying to steal all of the DNA. That's the whole plot of the
Yeah.
movie, man. How could we forget this guy?
That was one of the things. That was one of the threat lines about it.
That's why the power went down.
Because of him.
Yeah.
Because they didn't predict that either.
Mm-hmm.
You have all these guys, but you never know who's gonna fucking betray you. And this guy just did it for the money. He just went like, okay, well, I'm just gonna fuck this guy over and figure out a way to get out of the island with
Yeah,
all the
I'm gonna go
embryos
live
that he
in
put in
Costa
the
Rica.
barrel.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna come to. Now bringing it back to top twos. That scene of him and the fucking that other what's that dinosaur?
The Dilophosaur.
Yeah, the one. Oh, that
He
shit was
doesn't-
fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
that dinosaur doesn't actually like spray out poison,
Who cares? That shit was cool.
but it was still cool when they invented that shit. It's like, oh yeah, it doesn't do that. And it's like, well, it's kind of cool actually when he does it.
Yeah, no, it is fucking cool. It's the coolest thing in the movie. He has like his own mace.
Yeah.
He just maced him and then like started attacking him, and he's like all pristine and like all fucking fancy boy, and then he fucking just spits out this wad of fucking black tar at him.
Yeah, it was poison.
Yeah, and
was
I
just
mean
like-
like
it was like
and,
Snake.
and then you see the Barbasol container go into the fucking under the
Into
mud.
Yeah.
And then later on in the movie,
Lost in time.
don't they end up finding that?
No, they don't.
So I thought they ended up finding it in like later on in the movies.
I don't know if it's still canon, but they said that they did find it, but in the movies it never came up. Everyone was expecting for that shit to come up in the later movies, but no, it didn't.
It makes sense though.
It
That
makes
would make
sense that it got
yeah.
buried under mud. Like it got
Well, no, you
fossilized.
see it. You see it get
Yeah, I know.
buried.
It got buried under the mud,
Yeah.
and then it's just kind of saying like, oh, that's also fossilized.
Yeah.
To the earth.
Yeah, but I mean that whole scene with the whole when he was trying to use the wench
Yeah.
and stuff, it was just like, man, it was just like, what are you doing, you idiot, you idiot.
Yeah.
The whole time the audience is just like, no.
Yeah, and he was also taunting the dinosaur, which is kind of his
He
downfall.
was being a jerk.
He was being a jerk. No wonder you're extinct. I'm gonna go up there. If you're still down there, I'm gonna run you over.
He does say that shit. He was an asshole for sure.
Good casting. Fucking John Wayne. Not John Wayne.
Seinfeld's neighbor.
Was he his neighbor?
Yeah.
Newman.
Newman. That's him. Fucking Newman. One of the best characters. But that was one of my favorite scenes for sure, dude. Right there.
Yeah.
All right, I
would
think you got your
say-
last scene.
We already talked about the dinner scene. That's actually a really good one. The beginning, it sets up the tone right. Brachiosaur sets up the tone right.
When
guess I would say- I
when you
guess-
say sets the tone right, what do you mean by that?
It's like they know what the danger is. when it comes to like the intro. And also, it's not also just danger, but also it's fascination. It's This is what this movie is about. It's just the danger and the fascination of both. Because the intro brings you the danger. When they first come into the island and they saw the Brachiosaurus, that's the fascination part. So it's bringing both like opposite components into the movie. That it's just like, oh, it mixes so well. But I mean, that's all of life. You know what I mean? It's just there's the pro and cons on everything. That's what I mean by that. I'm trying to find my fucking scene. Well, actually, I really like that scene with the. It also brings a danger, but also like an adventure aspect to it. But when he gets after the T-Rex like pushes the fucking car over.
Oh yeah, that shit was dope.
And then Timmy's stuck in there. And when that car gets pushed over, that's all CGI. When it gets like, when it falls down.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people don't realize that shit, but it actually like that whole car is CGI.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah, because they avoided that shit. Like they're like, reach for the other wire, and then the car falls over, and then they just go back, and it's just like, oh, okay. But I don't know. I think that's character growth, but also like just the point of the movie where it's just like, okay, the kids realize that it's not all fun and games, and Timmy's just there, and he's just like feeling bad. He's just like, fuck, that was traumatizing. And he tells him like, I threw up. And he's like, I'm not gonna tell anyone that you threw up. It's just like, that's not the worst part of that.
Yeah.
Of what you just went through. So he does his efforts. It's like, oh, it's a kid. Like, what the fuck, like. And of course, he brings them out of the fuck. He tries to bring them out of the car to get out of the fucking tree, and then the car is just like clinging in there, and they have to climb down. And as the car is just coming down, he's just like, oh, that's another peril adventure scene.
It's like edge of your seat.
Yeah, and you're edge of your seat, and as soon as you just get out of it, it's like, oh, punchline. I guess we're back in the car. So it's just like, oh, it's a good scene. It's also like, again, character growth, because he went to go save Tim.
But that's definitely something that Spielberg saying, like, this is how we're going to ease the tension of this scene that just happened.
Yeah, they're okay. And then they made a joke out of it. And it's just like, okay, we're okay. Danger, also fascination.
Yeah, but I mean, it was, but that, like I'm saying, like at that point, that's when you knew, like, the potential of the danger and everything like that from there on out. It was like, holy shit. Like,
no, I think the danger was like getting close to that fucking T-Rex.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like after they met
after the tree, it's just like, oh, it's yet another danger that doesn't involve the dinosaurs. It's just, this is a real situation. But, they got brought out of it.
All right, so I think now is the time to introduce a new segment.
A new segment. This one's called The Top Cinco Muertes.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, of course, this movie has brought forward not just, the first one, but also there was also The Lost World, Jurassic Park 3, all of the Jurassic World movies, trash. And, I mean, the movies might have not been great as the first one, but they had a lot of memorable scenes, especially when it comes to the death. And of course, dinosaurs do need to fucking kill their own prey just to get fed on. And there's a lot of memorable ones out there and stuff. So I decided to call it Cinco Muertes, which is a pun or a reference to the movies, because it's not just one island. There's like a set of 5 islands, and they were only reference like Isla Nublar and Isla Sonar, and then the rest of the 3 is just right there, but they're all like considered as like one area.
Set of islands, like Hawaii.
Just one area, and then the locals just call it, oh, Las Cinco Muertes. It's like, well, why do they call it that? It's because they created this dinosaurs, and all we see is death. But I think there's like more pre-context of why they call it like the Cinco Muertes. I don't know. I don't know if it has to do with imperialism. I don't know if it has to do with like anything that might have happened in the history of Costa Rica. But I mean, Costa Rica is the closest thing to like those islands and stuff. But yeah, Cinco Muertes.
So top 5 deaths.
We're gonna split it into deserved deaths and undeserved deaths.
5 each.
5 each.
He's got this set up already, people. I'm just
Yeah.
going along for the ride like you.
Exactly. So I guess I'll go for undeserved death. I'm not gonna go in specific order. It's just whatever comes into mind. Undeserved death. I guess I would say in the Lost World, in the beginning. This is also in the book where the girl, she goes into the island. They don't know that it's filled with dinosaurs. It's like the plan B of like where they bred dinosaurs. It's a Sornar and a family. Just basically they just cruise down there. They fucking go there, and then one of the girls discovers like, oh, there's like a little lizard or whatever, and then she doesn't know it's a dinosaur, and then the dinosaur's just like, oh, we want to see what you're feeding us, and then there's a dozen of them, and then more, and then more, and then she basically gets mauled by them. You see it off screen, and it's kind of like, oh fuck, that's kind of dark, but that sets up the movie. So that little girl is just getting mauled. Well, I don't think she dies.
Well, she definitely gets mauled.
She definitely gets mauled. So I guess I guess this is like something gruesome, if anything. I'll definitely say that. Another one that comes to mind. Damn, I don't think there's a lot for the undeserved. But there's definitely the one with
Sam
Jurassic
Jackson.
World. Oh, Sam Jackson, yeah. That was undeserved. He was actually cool. And then he tries to turn the power back on, and then all you see is his arm just pop off. Just like, oh, Ellie's just like right there, and she's like, oh, Dr. Arnold. And then his arm comes off. It's just like, oh shit, like fuck.
That shit freaked. That was
shit
for
freaked
me.
out.
That
I was just like, god damn. You know what I thought? I was just like, god damn, like that's like literally a big Barbie doll arm.
That's fucking huge.
I was just like, oh shit.
That shit was crazy, man. That definitely scarred me after that. That was crazy. Another undeserved death.
Another undeserved death.
Let's do a deserved death. How about that one?
I'm just trying to go to the undeserved. There's also Zara, who's from Jurassic World, the first one. One of the flying dinosaurs come out.
The pterodactyl?
It wasn't a pterodactyl. It was something different. But they grabbed her, and then she gets pulled into the air, and then she falls into the water, and then one of them grabs them, and then the one that grabs them gets eaten by like the mosasaur.
Oh yeah, that shit was crazy.
And I was just like, that was actually controversial at the time, because people are like, oh, that's the first time a woman got killed on screen in the Jurassic World movie, and she didn't deserve it.
Well,
she was just looking over the kids, and then she was kind of smart about it, because if you notice, like, she was reading Ian Malcolm's book, and he was just trying to learn about, like, oh, what's this whole thing that he's trying to tell us about dinosaurs and stuff. And she was just being smart about things and stuff.
Yeah, well, undeserved.
Undeserved. Really undeserved.
She could have been a vital character later on.
Exactly. Another undeserved. Oh, I know one. So it was a guy in the same movie, Jurassic World, where a guy was just trying to do his job, and they were trying to track down the the Indominus Rex, and they were tracking him down. It was like, where is it? And then all you see is just like a piece of meat that the Dominus Rex took out of itself. And there was a tracking device, so it figured out where the tracking device was. And then before you know it, it was too late that the Dominus Rex could actually camouflage, and it attacks the whole fucking team.
Oh shit!
And attacks the first guy. He literally what does he do? I think he steps on him. No, I forget. There were so many deaths in that whole scene. But
That
he
shit was crazy.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. I just hated when it just like stepped on him, and it just like died. He just like straight up like just his whole fucking chest just like crushed down
Yeah.
under pressure of like the stomp.
Isn't
and
that
stuff.
one of the scenes where like it shows the video of
Yeah, it's
all
a
of
video
the...
feed, and then everyone dies one by one.
That shit, that was cool though. That was pretty
Honestly,
cool how
that
they
was
did
cool
that.
because it reminded me of Aliens.
It reminded me of Call of Duty.
It reminds me of Aliens, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an undeserved death. Last one, Lost World Jurassic Park, Eddie Carr. I think if you ever watched that movie, the one part that scarred you was when he was trying to save everyone from the trailer and use the car to like pull that shit back. But instead, the two T-Rexes came back from that site, attacked the car while Eddie was trying to drive, and he was trying to like use the dart to like shoot them back, but like there was a netting on the car that was caught on the barrel of the gun because they had like a tip, and it got caught on it, and he couldn't get him, so the T-Rex got him, lifted him up by the legs, and put him up in the air. The other T-Rex got him on his other half, and they chopped him in half.
Oh shit.
Yeah, undeserved death. He was trying to do the right thing, and then instead he just got chopped in half.
Despair, man.
Despair.
Life finds a way, I guess.
Life finds a way to get nutrients.
Yeah. So, I guess the fun ones deserved.
Deserved. Can you think of one?
Oh man, the bathroom one. The
Bathroom.
lawyer.
Oh God.
The first one.
That's definitely one.
When the T-Rex goes up and he goes to find him, and the guy's just taking a shit, and he goes, "Ah!"
he deserved it because not only is he a sucking lawyer, blood sucking lawyer, but he ran away from the kids. Because as soon as he saw the T-Rex, he's just like, he's just panicked. It was just like, oh, that was the moment of being a coward. When your ass was so focused on the money, you just ran away from like what's making you the money and stuff. But yeah, he just ran from the fucking kids. And another thing they didn't mention in the movie. No, they did mention in the movie that a lot of people didn't notice. The kids are going through
Their parents are going through a divorce. Yeah.
So him by Lexi saying like, oh, he left us. He's basically saying like, oh, the male figure at that time just left us. The same way like probably the dad left them.
Yeah.
So it's just like a double meaning in that. But yeah, he was a coward, and he went to the bathroom.
When you gotta go, you gotta go. Let's go.
But as opposed to Ian, who has like fucking 5 kids at that point, he was just like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
Another deserved death.
Deserved death. Oh God. In Jurassic World, Dominion. No, not Dominion. Fallen Kingdom, the second one. There was a game warden. It was sort of similar to Molden, but he was an asshole, and he collected dinosaurs' teeth as trophies. He's already been established on that, and then when he meets up with the Indoraptor, I'm sorry. It's just caged up, and then he's in the middle after the auction. He's just like, "Where's everyone?" And I was like, "Oh, whatever." And he's like, "I didn't see you at the island." He shoots him. He darts him twice from the Indominus Rex, Dominus Raptor. And mind you, this is not a natural fucking animal. It's not an actual dinosaur. It goes down, and then he goes in the cage, and little does he know, like, oh, he's actually still awake. And I like the way that it's a dumb movie, but the way that the raptor fucking smirks when it's getting his teeth pulled out, but it doesn't know like it's still awake. He's just like, I'm gonna fucking get you. And then when he actually gets him, he's just like goes for the attack. He goes for the arm, and then he lifts him up, and then it just rips his arm off.
That's just like Jurassic World, bro.
That's one of the bro. That's literally what I'm saying. I'm saying like that's Jurassic World 2,
Yeah.
right? But the only thing that's a criticism is just like not enough blood got spilled out because that was unrealistic.
Yeah.
And it got his arm chopped off, and then he's just like, oh, oh, no, what are you gonna do with me? And the Indominus Rex just like swallows its fucking arm, and then he's just like holding on to dear life, like stop, don't do it. And then he deserved it because he was being a fucking asshole at that point, and he just like mauls him.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. If you pay close attention, he fucking takes his arm off as well. He basically takes his whole fucking limbs. It doesn't just like kill him. He makes him fucking suffer. He's like, the interactor is fucking sadistic. Like, it's just like a fucking.
I gotta see that
shit.
one. I haven't seen that one yet.
It's like so sick.
In Jurassic World, I gotta say another deserved death was also the bad guy, the sergeant that was trying to go against him and be like, "Oh, we're gonna use these for like military tools. These are the biggest killing machines."
Yeah.
And then what does he end up doing? He's like, "Oh, we're cool," and it fucking bites his hand up.
Yeah, this is definitely a good one. Yeah,
Fuck
it's
that
just like,
fool.
yeah, it's just like, bro, like these are animals, not fucking weapons. And then they made him a weapon in the second one. I was just like, no, it's good. No, that's a good one. I had one on the top.
I want to say that girl that got picked up and then eaten.
No, that's undeserved. I already said that. You're stupid. Fucking, definitely not Molden. Damn, that should have been on undeserved. That's another one.
Wasn't there one in part 3 where there was like Triceratops and there was like something going on?
What?
It was like military people or something like that. I don't know.
The military shows up at the end, but they don't do anything.
What about I mean all the deaths were pretty cool. Let's just say it like that.
Yeah, let's just say it like that.
That was the movie magic.
Oh, fucking Lost World. The nephew. I think that's who you were talking about.
Yeah.
There is a nephew in the second one that was trying to like get all the dinosaurs out of the island and make a whole new thing in San Diego.
Uh-huh.
So he basically, at the end of the movie, they bring the T-Rex back into the boat after it escaped, and this guy was like left there with like the baby T-Rex. And he goes in there without knowing, like, oh, Papa T-Rex is right behind you, and it's going back into the boat. And then he realizes, like, oh shit. And then the Papa T-Rex, he tries to escape out of the boat, but the Papa T-Rex brings him back, and he like, bites on him, brings him back for the baby to kill him.
Yeah.
And then there's that moment where he's just like looking at him. He gets killed off screen, and then the Papa T-Rex is like, "There you go, son. There you go." That was a deserved death right there.
Another deserved death.
Oh,
right
wait.
there.
Number 1, deserved death. Fucking Dennis Neary. Dennis.
Yeah.
Because he fucked him up. And then he's actually... I would recommend reading the novel because the novel was like way more...
Gory?
Gorier. Yeah, in
Really?
details. So Dennis Neary actually got killed in the novel. He actually got killed because... he still gets killed by the same dinosaur, but it was much older, much bigger, where he basically grabs it. I think it grabs him, and then he just like uses his claws and basically disembowels him. His
shit.
guts come out, and he realizes his guts are coming out. And by the time he notices that, he bites him. The dinosaur bites him on the fucking head, lifts him up like a few feet up. And in the novel, it describes what was going in his mind. Like, oh, I hope this is going to end, soon because I'm, like, fucking suffering. My guts are coming out. And it just crushes its head and it just, like, eats on him and stuff.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
We
the
need to
novel
see
is way
that movie. Then
crazier.
we got to see the movie
I think
of that
we just
version.
need to, like, get a remake. Like, even if it's, like, a miniseries and whatnot. But either way, I think people deserve to see, like...
Jurassic Park, the novel version. Fuck.
On HBO Max. I mean, just the Max.
Let's see what we can do, people.
That's
I think
that's all
everyone
the
would
Cinco.
watch that shit too.
Yeah, I think that's all of the Cinco Muertes. Wait, hold on. We got one honorable mention. Here it is.
Come on up, Shade. Oh, please, Shade. Oh, hi, Mr. Nook. Mr. Noodle, what's going on? Dorothy has a question, Mr. Noodle. Please come down. Oh, good. The rest of Mr. Noodle.
New segment, people. It's so dark in here. All right, so let's wrap it up with the sip on this.
Yeah, what do you got?
Jurassic Park, people. If you like pop-ups and stuff, I heard about this experience that they're doing at Universal Studios in Orlando. Yeah. It's like a retail experience, but it's a pop-up with all like the biggest scenes from the movie. And you can basically go and put yourself in the scene, and like they have a giant T-Rex and you can like lie in the Jeep and like take a photo, stuff like that.
Right.
It's like a pop-up thing. I mean, it sounds kind of cool. I saw the pictures online and they went
Wait, is
all
it
out
the-
on the sets.
Is it the exhibit?
It's like an exhibit. It's like a retail. They made like an experience where you could go and check out stuff, but there's also like moments where you can go and take pictures and
So
stuff.
it's like a walk-around exhibit.
Yeah.
Because I know about that, and it's way better than the whatever they had in Universal Studios.
Yeah, no, they're mixing
It's all
both.
over the world, yeah.
So they have one in Orlando, but at the Universal Studios one, they have like the actual shit from the movies and stuff.
Yeah, if anything.
Yeah.
Huh. That's funny.
Yeah. So there's that. That's my sip on this.
Okay. So my sip on this, I would say just go to Universal Studios. I'm kidding. No, honestly, yeah, Universal Studios, like if you're trying to go for the express. Cause everything is just like so fucking packed all the fucking time. And yeah, you just want to do that if anything. But there's also this one site, I think I'm gonna share it on the link, where you could actually get shirts from like I saw this in IG, and it's just like basically Hawaiian shirts that's very Jurassic Park. Like. Yeah.
Yeah, I seen those.
You seen that, right?
They look pretty
And I was
tight.
just like, I forgot about that, and I was like, fuck, I want to buy that shit now.
Yeah, that's
But
fucking
yeah,
you're
I'll
gonna get
definitely
one
show
of-
you the link for that one, and for all those good reasons and stuff. But also, I would definitely recommend like some of the documentaries, some of the things that we researched for that went into like the making of this episode and stuff. So yeah, go check us out. If anything, we're at goldencraftcast@gmail.com. Goldencraft. No, it's goldencraftrun@gmail.com.
Golden Craft Cast on IG.
IG.
We're on Spotify. Hit
We're
the
on
button.
Anchor.
And thank you for joining us for episode 115, Jurassic Park 30th anniversary, baby. We drank a couple beers here. One's Lost Shore, Bohemian style Pilsner by Delahunt Brewing Company, and the other one was King Sue by. It'll be up in the thing, man.
It's gonna be up in the thing.
It's definitely good beers.
It's
Thanks
from
for
Iowa.
listening. Love, peace, and chick grease, everybody.
All right, cool.
You had to do it, didn't you?
When dinosaurs ruled it.